Morning, Coach. We'll get started here with Ed Kratz and then Jeff McLean.
Hi, Jim. It was a very good game, I guess, from your standpoint. But when you look at Jannard Avery and what he was able to do in very few snaps, is that a role for him going forward, kind of as a situational type pass rusher?
That was sort of the breakout game we've been waiting for from him. He's always been a skilled pass rusher. It's just fitting him in with all the other stuff. I think he's really done a good job of refining his technique and limiting, his just sort of sticking with what works best for him. I think he had too big of a pass rush repertoire earlier in his career. And I think that Coach Burke and Coach Wash have really done a good job of, just sort of honing in on what works for him, and he's starting to embrace that. So he certainly made a difference in this game. He was fresh when he came off the bench, which is a big thing for our guys that are coming off the bench. And he gave us that change up and made some big plays for us in the game. Caused his pressure led to the first interception, which I think was a huge play in that game. Sort of maybe flies below the radar when the game's all said and done. But they were driving, they were in the red zone. We got that pressure, got that interception, and I think that that was a key turning point in that game.
Jeff and then Paul.
Jim, you obviously had to do a lot of shuffling in the secondary with your cornerbacks light. Can you explain the decision to have Jalen on the outside, and it looked like you basically split the safety duties between Marcus Epps and Kevon Wallace? And what has Wallace shown you to earn that starting spot?
Well, it was different packages. I wouldn't consider one the starter over the other in that game. They were all just sort of starting in their own package, and we sort of compartmentalized and spread the contribution around a little bit. But our depth was a little bit better at safety than it was at corner, and Cravon and Roby mean a lot to us when it comes to the slot and those kind of things. And we thought our best option there, not having Trev, not having Avante, our best option, not having Craig, our best option was Jay Mill. He embraced it, and I thought he did a really good job in that game, covered well and tackled well.
Paul and then Bo.
Yeah, Jim, Ed asked you about Avery, but your overall pass rush the last 2 weeks has been awfully good and consistent. Obviously, that's important to this defense. I mean, you've made it clear how that's the engine that runs this whole train. Talk about that and Malik Jackson's play last 4 games. I mean, he's really come on.
Yeah, Malik's played outstanding football for us, as are a lot of guys. Once we got healthy on the D line and got Derek Barnett back and got Hargrave back, I think you really saw a big jump from those guys, just production-wise. We talked about Sweat's contribution and being a much improved player. Malik has, we missed him last year. He only played 1 game for us, or 3/4 of 1 game. Came back. He's not only played well on the field, he's been an outstanding leader for us. He's got a great tempo on game day. He's a really smart player. He's a veteran player. And he's a hard matchup. He's a different kind of matchup for the guards. I think we have some different kind of guys. We got some, we got Fletch in there. Hargrave, a little bit more of a bull rusher. We saw Ridgeway have good pass rush and using his power, and Malik can do a lot of different things. He's got one of the best set of D-line hands that I've been able to be around or coach. He's really good, and it's a tough matchup for some of those guards. He's also played with just great tempo. You see him chasing plays down. I think we've seen that from all our D linemen, but Malik, Fletch, and Barnett really stand out that way, making tackles on run plays down the field. Barnett made a couple plays on passes down the field, and that's the kind of effort we expect from our guys too. And Malik has led the way that way.
Oh, and then Daniel.
Hey Jim, was this a case of you sort of deciding that you were going to let George Kittle get his and then try to stop everybody else, or was he just sort of that good that he was able to be that productive.
No, we were trying our best to stop him. We didn't have very much success. No, we didn't take that approach. He made catches against pretty much every coverage. Late in the game we were playing a lot of two, and that just gave him sort of free access, and he made some plays there. But he made plays against our quarters coverage, against our three, against man-to-man, against blitz. He was just a tough matchup for us, and he got the ball a lot of different ways. But no, we were still trying to stop him. He's an outstanding player, not just his ability as a receiver, but we saw with his run after the catch or even a run play, he's an outstanding player. So that was hats off to him, and a little bit of disappointment from us. We tried a lot of different things. None of them really had much effect.
Daniel and then Dave.
Jim, we got to talk to Jordan Mailata on Sunday night, and the first thing he did was credit Joe Osman for preparing him for the game Sunday. Obviously, Osman has been doing a lot on the scout team, but how have you kind of seen his work with the scout team shape his development, during his time with you guys?
Yeah, Joe's just another one of those guys that's just, a bad, an ankle sprain or, whatever, a headache away from being in the game for us. A lot of our practice squad guys are. I sort of view our practice squad this year, it's really not a practice squad, it's more of a taxi squad. And, those guys could all get the call Sunday morning and have to go out and play. And we have confidence that Joe would be ready and would be able to contribute if he got the call. He prepares himself very well. And just through his effort, he's preparing the offense. He's one of the best workers that we have. And I think that the people that have complimented Joe on his practice habits haven't started or ended with Jordan Mailata. I mean, Lane Johnson and, a lot of other offensive linemen have all complimented him and thought that he helped them get ready. But I don't think Joe's really trying to help those guys get ready. He's trying to help himself get ready. He's practicing as hard as he can, and he's trying to get himself ready for when he gets that call. It's not a matter of if, it's probably when. Just when it comes to injuries, when it comes to all the different things that come up. We've seen a lot of different guys come off our practice squad and contribute on Sundays.
Dave and then Tim.
Hey, Jim, we've talked before about the disconnect between how you guys view Nate Gary and maybe how the fan base does. With that in mind, how do you think he's played so far this year, and what has he done to earn the amount of snaps he's gotten so far?
Yeah, you know me. I'm not a big tell you how a guy is playing, But Nate's been a very solid player for us and has helped us win a lot of games. And I would just caution this. There's probably a lot of plays that people outside of our building think might be his fault, that he just happens to be the closest guy when someone else made a mistake. And I think they end up blaming him a lot of times. He's sort of the closest guy to some plays. And, that's just sort of the way the ball bounces. We just need to be more efficient overall and more consistent overall. And he just plays his part in it. So I think that anytime that you have people outside the building that grade players, you can get things like that. I tend to try to keep our evaluations in-house and just work on improving in our own building.
Tim and then Jimmy.
Jim, one of your DBs made the point last week that when you're playing a lot of man-to-man, your back's to the ball more, and so maybe you're not going to be generating as many interceptions in the defensive backfield. I'm wondering if that's just something that you kind of, that you accept when you go to that defense, and then what are the upsides to that make it a good trade-off?
Well, every week we're going to do what we think is best to best compete in that game and give us the best chance to win. There's a lot of ways you can make interceptions in man. Your back isn't necessarily to the ball, but your eyes aren't on the ball, which I think is the difference. We don't play with our backs to the ball because just sort of the layers of our man-to-man. But your eyes are, your eyes aren't there, and sometimes balls can sort of fall into dead spots and things like that. But there's still plenty of ways to get interceptions, hitting the quarterback and having some balls float. I mean, we saw one of those late in the game. Avery got a hit on the quarterback. The ball was up there forever. We were in zone coverage then. We didn't make the interception. So, our goal was to stop offenses and keep scores down. We're not trying, I've said this before, if you try to get turnovers, you're probably chasing the wrong thing. Just do your job in the scheme. Let's try to do what we can do best to stop an opponent, keep the score down, get off the field on third down, win in the red zone, all those things that are important to us. And if you do those, then the plays will come to you. We were in a bit of a turnover drought the first 3 games, and all of a sudden ended up with 3 in this. And I don't think any of the 3 had to do with somebody trying to do more than just their job in the scheme.
Jimmy and then John.
Hey, Jim, what stands out to you from this Steelers offense through their first 3 games of the season?
They challenge the whole field with the run game, with the pass game. You have obviously an experienced quarterback that that is not afraid to throw balls into tight coverage, trust his receivers. You see that a lot. Got a lot of different playmakers at those wide receivers. They got an experienced offensive line. There's a lot of things, but it's one of those teams, I think, that if you devote too many resources to taking any one player or one aspect of their offense away, they certainly have the capability to make you pay in other ways. So it's going to take a good, solid team outing to play well on Sunday.
John and then Mike.
Hey, good morning, Jim. You kind of mentioned with Joe that everybody's just an ankle sprain or maybe a headache away. It was Alex Singleton against the 49ers, and he made obviously the big play in the pick 6. What has he shown you, and what do you like about his game?
He's a young player for us, but he's got a little bit of experience coming from Canada. I think he was Player of the Year in Canada on defense. So he does have some experience. He has good instincts. Has sort of, done a little bit more. Was on our practice squad, got promoted, played special teams, had a chance to play a little defense. Not just, I don't think his interception was his best play on defense. He sort of was there. Jay Mill had really good coverage on that. I think Jay Mill had an opportunity to make that interception. I was sort of standing right there and saw that ball, and I was like, Grant, the corner's going to pick this. And then all of a sudden, it was right to Alex. I don't necessarily view that it was a great play. It was a great thing for our team and a great thing for him. But, he made a couple of plays in the run game, I thought, that were probably better plays for him. And he does have some flexibility as a player, can play outside, can also play inside. Took advantage of the time that he had.
We've got time for a couple more, so we'll do Mike, Rob, and then Zach.
Jim, you've been really complimentary of Crevin LeBlanc over his tenure here. He's obviously been through a lot of adversity with injuries, getting waived, all that stuff. But what do you like about his overall personality and approach to the game, and how he handles himself throughout kind of all this stuff that's going on?
He's a worker. He's tough, and he's very competitive. And, you can take all the other things, put them over on the side, put them in a different category, size and speed and weight and, 3-cone drill and all those other things. But when you have those first 3, when you're a worker, when you're tough and you're competitive and you're a DB, I think that, those are good attributes to really lean on, and he has that. He's a good tackler. He's tough. We saw him blitz in this game. He did a nice job on that. It wasn't like he was free on the blitz. He had to beat a guard. And, it was just tenacity and effort that beat that guard. And that turn, we talk about Alex's play, but, that takeaway, the offense was able to cash that in for a touchdown. I think we turned that ball over on like the plus 35, or I can't remember exactly where it was, but it was in 49ers territory. And I really thought that, you look at that, that was such a key moment in that game, being able to generate that pressure, be able to create that turnover, set the ball up for our offense. Our offense was able to cash that in for a touchdown. And, everything else after that was sort of I don't say gravy, but I thought that that play was big, and Strap has made a lot of plays like that for us. He's got some flexibility, plays inside, can play outside, can play a dime roll, can play a nickel roll. He's really carved out a significant role for us on defense.
Rob and then Zach.
Jim, when you guys got Darius Slay, you knew you were getting a 3-time Pro Bowl cornerback, but has he so far even exceeded your expectations? And what did you see on that final play? Because he ended up having to make a play on the ball to secure that win.
Yeah, he was one of those guys, just sort of, just like a lot of those situations, the ball's up and, you got to get it on the ground or, knock it down. And, so, he's a guy that when the game's been on the line the last couple of weeks has come up with some big plays for us. Going back to overtime the week before, knocking down a couple key passes. This week, same thing. Each week his job in the game plan's a little bit different. Might be shadowing a different receiver, those kind of things. But I said before, he's got good length as a corner. He's got good height. He's got really long arms, so he can match some of those big receivers. But he also has the feet and the quickness to match some of the smaller guys. And he's another guy that's very competitive in coverage, and it's made a big difference for us for sure.
Go ahead, Zach.
As a follow-up to the previous question on Jalen Mills, is this a short-term thing until Avante gets healthy, or can you see him staying at corner thereafter?
Well, we'll see. We'll do what we think's best each week, depending on who we have available to the game. I thought that was a really unselfish thing for him to do. He was still a developing player at safety, and making some plays there, and also having some learning on the job. Growing pains at the position. But when the team was in need and our corners were, our corner position was way down, and we asked him to do it, it was never even a hesitation. It was like, hey, whatever you need. And he worked really hard during the week because he'd been working on different things. It's a different set of eyes playing safety and corner. But we'll see going forward. We just got to Tuesday, and we really don't know where our guys will be on Sunday. So we'll just take it day by day and do what we think's best, gives us the best opportunity to win on Sunday.
Thanks, Coach.